ability and access to all the plugins. But for the purpose of what we're going to do here today, I'm going to demonstrate using the free version.
Thank you.
So just real quick, its capability, and this is something that I was doing with respect to writing that paper. There's
Hi everyone, welcome to the Actionable ESG Talks series brought to you by AKFI Actionable Knowledge Foundational Institute, the world's first nonprofit industry consortium committed to bridging the gap between ESG, sustainability, and digital transformation. My name is Isabella. I am the co-host here with another co-host, Manuel. Also the executive director at the AKFI, and our special guest today, Ron. How are you? Look great.
I'm great. Thank you very much for inviting me to attend. I look forward to the dialogue.
Likewise. Thanks to this talk series, we get to bring together great minds like Ron and many others to together discuss the current state and the future state of ESG, sustainability, and digital transformation. Ron is the managing director at the AscentLogic.com, has over 35 years of technology and complex solution sales experience, and also includes 20 plus years of retained executive search and global executive coaching experience. Ron's clients include top 100 chief financial officers, top 100 women in technology, Power 50 National Diversity Council, top 25 women leaders in IT services, CDO Chief Data Officer, magazine top executives, among many others. So I'm sure, Ron, you have tons of things you can share with us from your 35 years experience working with these people and companies. Let's get a conversation started.
Awesome.
And let's begin with a very interesting questions everyone's talking about today, ChatGPT, our OpenAI, artificial intelligence. What are your thoughts on the role of AI and those chats in guiding executives on their sustainability, ESG, and digital transformation journey?
So at a high level, what I really believe is that what we're seeing in artificial intelligence is a new capability that is really part of our evolution as a species, that's really going to enable us to unlock human potential like nothing before in our history has enabled. And it's one of the most exciting things that I've seen in my entire career. As far as its application to ESG, it really is similar to its application across industry and digital transformation in general. It's a tool, and it's a highly capable tool. It's a tool that is very approachable in that you don't have to have a technical background at all to be able to benefit from and utilize it. From an extreme example, I've used it to come up with a recipe for Cuban pork for dinner. And on the other end of the spectrum, I was telling Manuel earlier today, I was working with a former NASA executive on how to utilize it to apply to hypersonic test flight instrumentation and make improvements in process for hypersonic test. So it has a wide degree of application, and ESG is definitely one where it could be applied.
I have to sort of ask the question, but which of the two was more satisfactory in terms of personal satisfaction when you got the recipe for your dinner or the hypersonic answer?
Well, it's different satisfaction. The recipe was awesome, and it disappeared quickly after cooking it. The hypersonic flight, that's an ongoing thing. I'm in the middle of using ChatGPT to write a 100+ page research paper. So different kind of cerebral versus Culinary satisfaction. I wasn't expecting that question.
Well, with ChatGPT, you should expect the unexpected, right?
Well put.
So maybe moving a little bit, hopefully more expected questions, right? But I was looking actually to continue the discussion with ChatGPT, and we talked a little bit before this video about giving us some demonstrations. And one scenario I wanted to give is like, let's ChatGPT pretend it's the CSO, the Chief Sustainability Officer in a large corporation, and ChatGPT should create a company strategy, a communication strategy, and come up with maybe some KPIs or indicators, performance indicators on the sustainability strategy.
Great. Do you want me to show people
ready to the challenge?
Sure, absolutely. Do you want me to show people how to find ChatGPT to start with? Or should we assume they already know that?
Well, just to find it, it's a short address, but I think we can dive right in if you.
Okay, great. Let me share my screen here. Desktop. Share. Can you see my screen okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
It's sharing.
Okay, excellent. So just real quick, you go to OpenAI.com, you click sign up, and you can join ChatGPT for free. That's all I was going to share.
I understand this is ChatGPT 3.0 that is free, right?
4.0. No, it's ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo. That's a later generation. They've deprecated the earlier model, but ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo is free. If you want to invest, at least in the US, $20 a month, you can gain access to ChatGPT-4, which gives you internet access capability and access to all the plugins. But for the purpose of what we're going to do here today, I'm going to demonstrate using the free version.
Thank you.
So just real quick, its capability, and this is something that I was doing with respect to writing that paper. It really comes down to just ask it a question. And then once you see what it responds with, then you can start thinking about how to go about asking more complex questions. One of the things that I just asked it, just to see what it came up with, can you see this? Is it big enough, or do you want me to make it bigger?
You can make it slightly bigger. Yeah, I can read it. Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I just typed in, do you understand ESG? And it responded with all of what it describes here. So it knows what ESG is. I started getting into another set of prompts, but actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come over to the agenda that you had sent me where you described this demo scenario here. And what I did was I simply typed it in. Oops, wrong one. I typed it in and I said, you're a chief sustainability officer responsible for creating strategy, use ChatGPT. This is called a persona prompt. So you're giving it a persona that you want it to adopt and act from. And then I said, please build an outline for the major components of a company's ESG strategy. Please attribute each strategy element with sub-bullets listing the corresponding corporate stakeholder titles associated with each element. And for each major component of your outline, add a 100-word bullet to each component describing the outcome, vision, mission, critical success factors, and intent of each element. And then I gave it an example. This is one thing that is really powerful to do, is to actually give it an example of something you want it to produce. It will typically produce better results when you do that. And then I asked it, please format the response in Markdown. So here's what it spit out. Here's the outline. Environmental responsibility, stakeholders, COO, CTO, head of sustainability. outcome, vision, mission, critical success factors. It builds these out here with respect to that. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to send you a link to this so that you've got it and can give it to any of your users if you want in the additional information. Social impact, stakeholders, chief HR officer, diversity inclusion, corporate responsibility head, outcome, enhance social well-being, vision, foster inclusivity, as you see, critical success factors, intent, governance and ethics, stakeholders, outcome, mission. So it spit all this out in about 3 seconds. Okay, that's how long it took to print all of this. What you can do, actually, I also did this one. What are 3 high impact recommendations you would like to make for corporations' future use of AI and Chat GPT in developing ESG sustainable strategies? I stole that from your agenda. Closing question. I just pasted that in here. Okay. And then here are the recommendations that it came up with, right? Relative to transparency and explainability. This is a common issue with AI. You want to make sure you understand how it's coming up with its responses, getting it to provide reasoning and whatnot. So it's not just a black box. You put a question in and it spits out a response. Rigorous ethical framework and bias mitigation. This is a key thing in the area of anybody that understands AI and is committed to its ethical use, is understanding and making sure you're not introducing unintended biases into the system that then produces unintended or undesired results. Collaborative partnerships and knowledge sharing. This gets into something that you and I had talked about previously, Manuel, and that the way to think about utilizing ChatGPT for any task is think about it as a partner in that journey. And when you think about 100% of a given task, utilize ChatGPT for the first 30% as an ideation partner, helping you unlock your block in thinking, giving you different perspective that you didn't think about before because of its knowledge base. And then for the next 50% of that task, utilize your gray matter, your human intellect, your specific subject matter expertise and experience, life experience, your human compassion, empathy, all of what makes you human. Then for the last 20% of that task, utilize ChatGPT as a peer reviewer, putting it into a critic mode and saying, hey, what's wrong with this? How could this be improved? What am I missing? Check my grammar. I use that all the time.
I do too.
So this is where collaborative partnerships, meaning not just utilizing AI in a vacuum, but partnering with the different stakeholders in an organization, in the community to achieve what you're trying to achieve. That's the idea.
So first, thanks, Ron. It's a hypersonic speed demo, and it is so rich. And when I look at the way you're using it, you actually use it in a very similar way we communicate among humans. Because when we communicate, we have like frames of reference, meta frames. And then build on meta frames. We talk about a movie, right? That's one meta frame. It's different than we talk about a race. Let's say we went to I don't know, a sport event, and we are in the stands, right? We watch it directly. So this construct is very much you give it the question and the meta frame, the context of your question, like you give it to a human. Let's talk about movies, let's analyze this, let's talk about the actors and so on. It's different than we talk about similar scene from the movie, but it's a game in the stadium. Because it's a different meta frame, it's a different setting. So, give me the rules in the stadium is different than give me the comments in the movie, right?
And also, a lot of people, they ask, oh, what can it do? That's not the question to ask it or to even ask. It's what is it that you're trying to do? And then partner with it to look how it can help. So that's what I wanted to show you here with taking this outline that we generated and embellishing it with 3 examples for each of the 5 elements in the strategy for how the team can use ChatGPT to achieve the intent of each element. Also include 3 ChatGPT prompt examples. So I'll just stop here while it continues to write. So environmental responsibility, examples of using ChatGPT. It can be utilized to analyze large amounts of data. Here's a prompt that you could use. Analyze our energy consumption data. You'd have to give it that data and provide recommendations for reducing energy usage in our manufacturing facilities. Identify sustainable packaging alternatives. Research and recommend sustainable packaging options. As an example, each one of these prompts, think of it as a high-level pyramid. You start more general at the top, and then when you see what it responds with, you can then determine which path do you want to go down to tease out more specific information or response or advice. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. You have a dialogue, and I'll turn to Isabella a little bit because she thought about ChatGPT before ChatGPT in her book, and we never thought it will come reality in 6 months, or I think it's about a year since you published, right?
Yes, it's been a year. It's been 2-something years since I started, concerning the matter of modern technology, the impact on the society. It is very fast. I still remember back then, no one really cares about anything about the impact, whether positive or negative, of these technologies. Back then, it was a lot of hypes and buzz about the fancy words, metaverse, everything good about it. And now we can see how it's penetrating our life in different layers vividly. Yeah, it's not just, a technology that make us more efficient. It's made us efficient, but it has also different technology effect. Actually, a friend just sent me an article about ChatGPT talking about synchronicity, about has the ChatGPT bubble burst? But it's just some headlines I haven't clicked in yet. It's funny how AI sensation sees traffic fall for the first time.
There's some reasons for that. Large population that utilizes ChatGPT are students. They're some of the early adopters to ChatGPT.
The younger generations.
Right. And that writing papers, doing research, all these things. And there's a lot of universities that are actually teaching students on how to use ChatGPT. But now we've hit the summer, so everybody's gone home, right? So the usage has dropped as a result of that. But it'll pick back up, especially with just more people adopting it. When you look at the curve or trajectory of membership, by the end of December, there were about 100,000 members. By the end of March, there were over 400 million members. It took Facebook 4 years, if I remember right, 4 to 6 years to achieve 400 million members. And there's way more than that now in OpenAI's ChatGPT membership. And that's just one large language model. There's Bard, Bing, that leverages OpenAI, and there's also hundreds of open source language models that are being developed. At the beginning of the year, Hugging Face had about 100 roughly large language models in open source of varying sizes. Today, they have over twice that. So even trying to imagine where is all this tech going to be and its capability by the end of the year is really hard to even project. You've probably heard of Moore's Law that was applied and developed for semiconductor, with the number of transistors on a semiconductor chip doubling every 2 years. The half-life according to a Kellogg professor, for AI growth has been about 3.5 months, not 2 years.
Wow.
Exponential, the rate.
Yes, it's exponential how fast this capability is growing. And, the challenge is to learn about it, understand it, and not be ignorant of it and afraid of it because of your ignorance.
Well, it's always the story of introducing new technologies, the first reaction in general is fear, right? It does something that it's so unusual, it sort of talks to me, knows things I don't know. So
well, you look at any major evolution that we've gone through, from fire, that was pretty cool. We don't have to eat rotten meat anymore, to the wheel. Think of what we can do with that, to discovering, oh, the world's not flat. Think of the possibilities, to the Industrial Revolution and applying a steam engine to an industrial process, and then electricity and electric motors. And then in a split second, we hit the computer era, and then the internet, arguably social media. And now we're looking at really what I believe, as I mentioned earlier, is the next evolution in our growth as a species, that what I call age of AI. It's exciting.
By the way, talking about universities, we have 20 interns and volunteers, new grads. We are very lucky to have Isabella among our top volunteers, and thankful for that. But one professor in a university, I think was Wharton, but I'm not sure, proposed that the students should work with ChatGPT, create a paper, and then the student has to criticize the paper. So he wants deep learning about ChatGPT. Okay, this is good. This is sort of generic, it doesn't really lead me. So design a comprehensive survey. Okay, what's a comprehensive survey if I'm a student?
Right.
How do you define it? How do you bound this question, right? So it was very interesting to me that he said, not only stay away from it or be afraid of, use it, and actually use it in a very smart, very interactive way, and say, okay, this is my opinion about what the machine wrote.
Yep.
So, and moving on, but you sort of got support from ChatGPT to answer the last question, but the last question was yours, not ChatGPT. I want to hear the human.
Sure. So, what are 3 recommendations you'd like to make for use of AI and ChatGPT in the context of ESG and sustainability? Let me stop sharing my screen. I don't need to do it for this. I kind of led into
it's
that.
Fine. I don't want you to cheat with ChatGPT.
I'll look at the camera. So,
exactly.
What I would suggest is learn it. Learn how to use it. Learn how to turn it into a tool that would make you better at what you do, give you the ability to add more value to the world through what you do and your passions. Really drink it in and become a student of the tool. It's not necessarily conceptually different than when computers hit the scene in the early 80s in, more force, not necessarily used as a tool like an IBM 360 mainframe, but used as tools for all employees. Is learn how to use them. A lot of people are concerned, or not so much a lot, but there are a group of people that are concerned about how they think AI might threaten their job. Really, the way to think about AI is that your job is less likely to be replaced by AI as it is your job is more likely to be replaced by somebody that knows how to use AI better than you. So learn about it, embrace it, and see what it can do for you. As you do that, The second thing I would suggest is be your own best example. Tell others, get others to use it and benefit from it as a tool. And then collaborate together. That's the third thing that I would recommend, in how you leverage this technology in a collaborative way to be able to achieve the things that you're trying to achieve, specifically relative to all things ESG and sustainability. And I didn't look at my screen once.
Now we are watching you. We want to talk to the real Ron Bates. Isabel, I don't know if you have further questions. I'm sure you have further questions. Anything immediate.
Well, yeah, Ron did authentically, successfully just now by giving us, I see, a piece of advice on how to leverage modern technologies. Maybe you can dive a little bit deep on what are your suggestions in leveraging the combination of AI, the ChatGPT, for sustainability and ESG strategies.
Sure. So as with anything, I'm not an expert compared to those that have devoted their life to it. Part of, I think, the challenge in ESG is even just educating and elevating awareness. So again, how to utilize ChatGPT. Sometimes when you're educating yourself, you don't even know what questions to ask. You can ask it the following question: I'm trying to learn more about ESG or sustainability. What are the questions I should be asking you to improve and elevate my understanding and decrease my ignorance? And it will list out a set of questions. There's actually several concepts of learning prompts that you can utilize with ChatGPT in this context, where you give it a prompt and you basically put it in persona of it's a highly knowledgeable teacher that wants to elevate your understanding of something, and then it will ask you, what do you want to learn about today? You could type in anything related to ESG and sustainability, and then it's going to ask you a base level set of questions to understand your base level understanding, and then it's going to start ratcheting up and deepening your understanding of that subject matter, whether it's nuclear physics, whether it's sustainability, whether it's recycling concepts or whatever. The thing to realize is that ChatGPT, based on its training data, is arguably the most intelligent entity on planet Earth in terms of what it's been trained on. Ask it a question. See what it responds with.
You almost treat it like Socrates, right? Like Socrates is for Western culture is the father
Oracle?
of I'm sorry?
An oracle?
An oracle, but more the father of learning through questions.
Yes, the Socratic method. Absolutely.
The Socratic method, which you use today, which you use in education. So
yeah, and an extension of that is the Feynman method also. But yes, it's a wonderful thing to learn something. Again, just ask it a question. Tell it what you're trying to do. It will help guide you in even what questions to ask, how to think about something, different ways to think about something in terms of perspectives, turning it into a critic and saying, challenge my thinking here. That's one of the things we all suffer from when we're too close to a problem, and where a coach can help, even an AI coach, to pull you back and help you get greater perspective on the larger issue at hand.
that's
Sounds
fantastic.
like, yeah. It's always clear from a third-party perspective than when you're looking at too close, immerse yourself in there. So ChatGPT in some way serve as that role to me, based on your description.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's fantastic, Ron, with Showcase. It's our first guest using live screen share to share more insights and processes with our audience. That's very unique experience. I look forward to see how it looks on the recording. And thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Ron, for everything you shared today. Make sure to join us every week for a new episode of AKFI's Actionable ESG Talk series, where you can gain new perspective on how to mitigate risk and create value by integrating ESG and digital transformation. Until next week, goodbye for now. Bye, Manuel. Bye, Ron.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Isabella. Thank you.